All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation, man. CP the franchise here. We got a special edition of Knicks Fan TV. Joining me today is a guest who I've been looking to talk to for a long time now. One of my favorite Knicks from that Knickstape squad. From one of the greats from Marquette, 11-year career in the NBA. And now he covers the Milwaukee Bucks for Bally Sports Wisconsin. Steve Novak joins us on Knicks Fan TV. Steve, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good in Wisconsin. It's snowing right now, so it's officially basketball season. There's nothing better to be doing than being in the gym and going to games. So it's great to be with you.
Absolutely, man. And, you know, we got a chance to chop it up a couple weeks ago at the open practice the Knicks had at the Garden. And I thought it was a great event that they put on for the fans because in the celebrity game, the alumni game, you showed out, man. You looked like you could still go for a 10-day contract, man. The threes were falling. The discount double check was taken out, man. What was that feeling like just to be out in the Garden and running up and down the floor?
It was a hell of a way to spend your Sunday. You know, when you retire from the NBA, you know, a lot of people don't know, but it can be an unpleasant type of situation where you still can do it every once in a while, but you can't do it every day. And so that was my I can still do it every once in a while moment. And I was really thinking Coach Tibbs, who I played for back in the day when he was an assistant with Jeff Van Gundy in Houston. I was thinking he was going to be out there courtside, kind of keeping an eye, gauging things, and seeing if I could get a 10-day, like you said. But I didn't see him anywhere out there. I know Maxey was out there, and my man even Chenzo was out there, and Brunson was giving love. But I was just there to get a 10-day from Tibbs, and it didn't happen. So it didn't work out for me. But I had a damn good time with my Milwaukee brothers Spreewell, and going out there against some actors and rappers and guys that in Milwaukee, we don't really run in those crowds like
Yeah,
that. So being
yeah.
with Spreewell is normal for me. But being out there with Fat Joe and Tracy Morgan, it was a good time, and it's just what makes New York so special.
Yeah, no question about it, man. And watching you shoot that ball, man, it was like, that muscle memory, it's still there. And to be as great of a three-point shooter as you were throughout your career, I mean, what was some of that preparation like just as a kid in terms of practicing, getting those shots up to get to where you were as a pro?
Yeah, it was, shooting really, it always has been a passion of mine. And, my story is I grew up in the gym with my pops. He was a high school coach. And when I was in kindergarten, my mom was dropping me off after school and leaving me in the gym with my dad. And he would have practice on one end of the court and I would be, on the other end. And you know how it goes. Layups and the mic and drill is fine for a little while, but you end up wanting to shoot some bombs in the first 5 or 10 minutes. So I was always down there shooting threes and heaving it from my shoulder as far as I could from as young as I can remember. But, and then obviously at some point, for me, it was in eighth grade. It was basketball became just something I was obsessed with and I wanted to be great at. I wanted to play on my varsity team and who was my dad was the coach and, get a college scholarship and of course dream of playing beyond that. And so I started setting goals for myself and, making 300 jump shots every day after school, starting in eighth grade. And, then some tools like the rebounding machine, the gun, came along and you could just so efficiently get up hundreds and hundreds of shots. And so the basketball and the gun, they became my best friends, and I'd just be in the gym getting shots. And obviously it worked out for me. I was very blessed to have an awesome career and to be able to display it in New York at the Garden, the greatest arena, the what an incredible basketball city. I think that's what I always dreamed of, was to be able to
Yeah.
prove that I could do it on the highest level. And it felt like, being in New York and making shots and, having success with some of those teams was for sure for me just one of the most special, times of my life. So it was great being back. Like you said, I relish in that as
Yeah.
well. And you have some great memories coming back.
11 seasons in the NBA. You had multiple stops. You had Houston and San Antonio and the Clippers. But when you came to the Knicks, you were here for a couple of years, and a couple of years that were some of the better years in terms of the 2000s for this team. What do you think it was that clicked for you under D'Antoni, under Mike Woodson, and the respective rosters? What do you feel like clicked for you finally when you got to New York?
It really was. It was a lot of things that clicked. And, part of it was for sure like maturity and timing. As far as me personally as a player, I think you watch it with a lot of guys where the first few years are finding their way. They haven't found maybe the right system or the right coach, and all of a sudden they find that right spot. And so New York was that for me. And I give Mike D'Antoni so much credit because there's no question his style, his confidence, it's in me, suited me so well. And it's not just one thing. Obviously, my maturity being 26, 27 years old, I was kind of coming into that point where all right, I've been in the league, I've been in some different situations, and I'm good enough to be at that higher level now and really be efficient. And then also, like I was saying, D'Antoni's system, he would say to me in timeout sometimes, he would be waiting to see who the other team was going to sub in to figure out who we were going to sub in to match up. The other team would be taking too long to make their subs, and he would just look at me and go, Novak, just get out there. As long as you score more points than your guy, you stay in the game. And sometimes there's coaches that they see your deficiencies and they say, you know what, oh, you got scored on, or oh, you're not this. And Mike D'Antoni was never that. He was basically I know what you do well. I want you to go do that. It was the same with Tyson Chandler. It was the same with Jeremy Lin. It was the same with, guys like Mike Bibby and all those guys. It was, what do you do really well? And so, we had special groups, like you're alluding to, having the Melos and the Amaris and the Tyson Chandlers and the Jared Jeffries and the Jason Kidds during that era. There's so many guys I could name. And so I think just the fact that we had that underdog mentality, we had a lot of guys that were, really trying to prove themselves. And, Mike D'Antoni in my first year, and then Mike Woodson in my second, I think they really allowed us to showcase who we were. And man, I left my man J.R. Smith out too. I got to give him some love. He was on the wing shooting that thing. So we had some good times, and I just love looking back and remembering those years.
And when you look back on those days at the Garden, you had a couple of signature moments, man. 14 points against the Mavs in the fourth quarter during the Linsanity run. You had 25 against the Celtics. Which game sticks out to you as like, when every player comes here, there's at least one night where it's just that MSG moment where they're just going off and they're blowing the roof off the place. What game was that for you?
You know what, you really did just nail. There were two games. That first game you mentioned, the 14 points in the fourth quarter against the Mavs. That was when the belt came out. That was when the discount double check first started. So for me, it was, we had a team security guard who was saying, Novak, you're from Wisconsin. You're a Packer fan. You always talk about Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and how they're your guys. And he was saying, look, you should do the belt. And I said, that's ridiculous. That's not my thing. But then whatever happened in that Mavs game, it was a Sunday, and I had been on the Mavs the previous year, and they had cut me when Caron Butler, he blew his knee out. And they cut me, and they signed Peja Stojakovic, and they went on to win the championship. And I was always a little bit hurt by that, just as it happens in the NBA. And so there's always that little extra emotion when you're playing a team that you were previously on, was released from. And so that was one of those games where you got to kind of prove to that team, hey, you missed out on me. You cut me. That was a mistake. And so that was a special game. And you're right, against Boston was one of those games where it just seemed like no matter where I shot it from, it was going in. JR was knocking shots down as well. We had it going, and the Garden was just on fire. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention, just that whole Linsanity run, because that was really, my coming out party as well. And I was able to ride the wave of what Jeremy was doing, which was, it brought so many people to the surface, and high tides float all ships. And the way Jeremy was playing, the attention he was getting, and the shots he was making, it was just unbelievable. And you kept thinking it was over every game, and it just continued. And so there was a lot of special memories. But those three, I would say, the Mavs game, the Boston game, and all of Linsanity were right up there with the greatest moments of my life.
No question about it, man. And I remember I was down in Atlanta at the time in grad school, and I'm watching, and I remember that Mavs game was on ABC, and Linsanity was just starting to take form, and then you're out there, and they're like, wait a minute, J.R. Smith, he's coming off the plane. He's coming to play today. So I'm like, what is going on? And then they beat the champs. You guys beat the champs that day. Garden was rocking, man. It was just goosebumps all over the place. And as you said, that run was certainly magical. What do you remember about, what was the locker room energy like during that 35-game stretch, man?
It really was a special group. It was guys who I think we thought of ourselves as underdogs, as we weren't expected to to win that many games, and Linsanity was so special. And then that following year, it's like we won 54 games. And I think when you look back and you look at just the winning that happened, I think that's what made that group special, obviously. You had incredible players with, Melo and Amari and the JRs and Hall of Famers in my second year and in J Kidd. And so you realize there's guys that NBA fans, they know who they are. They've watched their careers. They're special guys. But when you win and you put a mishmash group together, I just think, that's what made it so special was I think, in New York, we hadn't won in a while. And so for us to kind of get the garden on fire and to be doing things that people were always saying, oh, you're not going to be able to be good enough. And that's what obviously, Jeremy Lin heard his whole life. You're not going to be good enough. You're going to get cut. I had been cut the year before. Jared Jeffries had been bouncing around. J.R. Smith, oh, well, you got personality issues. One of the best guys I've ever met in my life. And I think we all bonded over that. We kind of just felt like we belonged together. And there was just this incredible sense of unselfishness. No one was out there to get theirs. Jeremy was cooking, but he was never out there to get his. Jared Jeffries was setting screens and Tyson Chandler was rolling to the rim, not getting the pass, and we were shooting the shot from the perimeter, possession after possession. And so I think any great team, it always is about the ability, but also, the cohesion and the unselfishness. And we had so much the guys were so happy every time I made a shot. When JR made a shot, when Jeremy did something right. Mike Bibby was out there making sure everybody got touches. And I think that was the feeling, was just like we're riding this wave together. And, we didn't know where it was gonna end up and how good we could be. But man, we had a good time doing it with dapping up Spike Lee on the sideline. You just feel like you take a moment every once in a while when there's times like that, and you go like, man, you know what? Like I always dreamed of being out here on the biggest stage and the brightest lights. And so that's what that era really felt like, to me, and I think really to the whole group. We were out there, doing it at the Garden.
Once again, we're talking to Steve Novak, former Knick, and currently covers the Milwaukee Bucks for Bally Sports Wisconsin. And Steve, when I look at the 2012 and 13 team, everything just broke right. You guys had Carmelo playing at such a high level. You had the younger players, three-point shooting all over the place. Then they brought back a lot of my favorite vets. Rasheed Wallace, one of my favorite players. You had Kurt Thomas come back, Marcus Camby, Jason Kidd. And then when I went to that opening night game against the Heatles, the Big Three, and I was so tired of the Heat talk, and you guys went out there and ran them out of the building. That was one of the most memorable nights of my life. But I also felt like, yes, it's only the first game, but this team has something special. Then you guys go on to win 54 games. Did you feel like that team had that potential when it first came together?
In the beginning of the year, I feel like there's always that optimism, for pretty much every team. You got a lot of guys talking about, we're going to win the championship this year. We're going to be great. And then within a couple of weeks, you kind of realize, all right, there's, the separation that happens. But with our group, like you just mentioned, the thing that made it so special was there was the Sheeds and the Marcus Cambys and the Kurt Thomases and the J Kidds and Pablo Prigioni as a 35-year-old rookie. And so, the one thing I sensed with that team was, we had star power. When you have Melo and you have Amari and you have Tyson and those guys, they can get you wins. But what was interesting to me was, I think, the fact that we had such great veterans. I mean, those are guys that are favorites in NBA history as far as in the locker room with Sheed and Kurt Thomas and Camby and Kidd. And I felt like Melo and Amari, they had these guys with them in the locker room that were their dogs. And they could go to them no matter if it was in-game, if it was on the plane, if it was just, at practice, to have these guys around them that a lot of times I think when you're the star, everyone is looking at you. Everyone's coming to you to say, what do we got to do, or what do you want from me? And you need to set the tone. And I think that's fair a lot of times. These guys are getting paid the big bucks and they want that responsibility. But with that group, I felt like Melo and Amari, they had the Kurt Thomases right with us the whole time. They had Sheed with us the whole time. So it almost felt like they didn't need to be the full-on emotional and example leadership. We had great vets that I think gave great advice, gave great perspective, had great accountability. And to be honest, their personalities made for just a really good time. They're not the overly accountable guys, the Machines, the Cambys. They're like the get it done kind of guy. Like, you want to come in 10 minutes late? Fine, come in 10 minutes late, but you better make sure you get it done when the
Be
lights
ready.
are on. You want to not be you want to be a couple minutes late for film? You know what? All right, you're a couple minutes late for film, but you better lock in and know our coverages. And I appreciated that because you go into so many different situations with coaching styles and accountability styles, and sometimes it's like if you're late, you're suspended and you're out for it. It was amazing. We had guys late all the time, but it was as long as you show up when the lights are on and get it done. That's what we're here for. And I thought that was a powerful message that our group had, and I love being with all those guys. They were great mentors.
Is there a favorite story you have that came out of that locker room? As you guys are kind of going through that 82 game battle and into the playoffs, is there one story or another that sticks out to you?
Oh man, there's a lot of good stories. I'll be honest, some of the coming in late stories might be my favorite because we're in an era in the NBA where the guys in the league are so high character and there's such a high accountability. I mean, the food in the facilities is from the best organic places. Everything, the recovery rooms, there's a hot tub and a cold tub, and you have everything you need. But I think, like I was saying a minute ago, that one of the things I took away from that group and some of the great stories would be Coach Woodson. Sometimes I won't name any names, but there would be guys that weren't there on time. And Coach Woody was a personality where he was one of the guys, but he was your leader. He knew everything, he saw everything, but he wasn't your dad. He wasn't reprimanding you and telling you what you did wrong. And so he would say, we'd be in there getting our vitamins, before practice, getting our workouts in, our shots. And he'd come out and say, hey, is, so-and-so here? Is so-and-so here? And they'd be like, oh, like, not yet. And, the grind of the NBA season, sometimes you go, okay, well, they're on their way. We're in communication with them. It's not here yet. And he would go, all right, sounds good. He'd say, let me know when they get here. And he'd go back in his office. And it would be, we were supposed to start practice at 10:30. It'd be 10:40, like not there yet. And Tyson Chandler he'd come out, hey fellas, like anybody talk to, so-and-so, I got to pick my kids up from school today. We got to get this going, man. And we're like, hey, what do you want to do, man? And then as soon as, so-and-so would get there, we go get Coach Woody out of his office. Hey, everybody's here. We'd be in the film room. All right. And we would party. And and I just think back to that, and it's so different than a lot of leadership and a lot of the places I would tell you is acceptable or it could even ever be considered. In a way, it was so powerful because you realize once everyone was there, you were bought in, you were focused, you were there to do a job. And as soon as that wasn't the case, then Tyson spoke up, and then Coach Woody spoke up. But until then, as long as you were getting buckets, you were playing defense, you knew your coverages and your scouting reports, they were like, all right, keep being professional. Just try to get here a little earlier.